The SEC has been put into a corner, but soon enough, even the darkest pieces of truths will eventually come to light. The Ripple CEO has said this, trying something new. Some thoughts from me on the events, specifically the release of Hinman's documents of this week. For me, this has all had a personal bent to it and felt like it warranted some personal comments. We're going to watch that video, or at least part of it, in just a second. What's most important is that it's truly the first time the SEC was forced to be transparent about their lack of internal coherence or faithful application of the law, acknowledging they may not have the jurisdiction to fill the regulatory gap of crypto at all. They have preached and demanded transparency from those they regulate, but fight tooth and nail when held to the same standards. And now Gensler point blank refuses to comment on specific projects besides Bitcoin, but indirectly and incorrectly labels tokens as securities in lawsuits. And in the next breath says how clear the rules are while his agency tries to front-run Congress. But before I show you that, I will also share with you this. Coinbase points out the SEC is just basically trying to hide behind the curtain. We just earlier stated that, well, even the most darkest of truths will come to light, and I still believe that, but the SEC is really trying their best to keep it as hidden as possible. And I think a couple of things like BlackRock coming in right now, them suing Coinbase and Binance making it a very big deal, and them not responding to Coinbase's request for making rules, plus the fact that William Hinman's documents came out, really put them in a very difficult spot. Trying to hide behind the curtain instead of actually fixing things in a reasonable manner. That's a response to Paul Grewal, who said, "We couldn't wait till our deadline next week to address the SEC's response to the June 6th order from the Third Circuit. It is unusual for the government to defy a direct question from a federal court. But the SEC's evasive response goes further. As we set out today, the court should grant mandamus, now because the commission has decided not to grant Coinbase's rulemaking petition and is actively harming the industry. The commission's refusal to say how much additional time it needs to act on Coinbase's petition confirms that further delay is futile. At a minimum, the court should order the commission to report on its action, not anticipated staff recommendation, in no more than within 60 days, and decide the mandamus petition promptly if the commission still has not acted at the time. We continue to appreciate the court's careful consideration. And again, the idea here is Coinbase tried to say to the SEC, hey, let's sit down making rules. Let's sit down and discuss something. The SEC said, well, we're going to sue your ass, right? We're going to sue you. And by the way, before we move on, make sure you guys that you press that like button if you've not done it yet, because you've got nothing to lose, and it helps me out. So make sure you press that button and let's continue. Like I was saying, even with the Ripple case, the SEC was very well known for delaying things, and their strategy has not changed. Coinbase tried to make rules. The SEC says, no, we're going to sue you, like I stated earlier. And right now, the whole situation is, well, the court, let's just call it, noticed SEC. Coinbase asked you a question and sued you for it. You didn't respond, yet you did sue Coinbase. So, what's going on there? Are you going to respond? And they basically said, hey, respond within 4 months or something like that. And now Coinbase obviously is like, well, first of all, if things are clear, why is it taking you so long? That's one question. But second of all, this is just a matter of they have to explain whether or not they are going to be responding within a couple of months. It's not really a, let's fix this issue within a couple of months. Let's get to something. No, it's a, do you really want to do something? Reply to that in a couple of months. But the SEC still is not really doing that. Point being here, it's just delay tactics further and further. And I honestly believe that even now that BlackRock came for an ETF here, that might actually be yet another point where the SEC is going to be delaying like crazy. Although I still believe more and more that this is all one big game, one big conspiracy, where the SEC is in on this and BlackRock is going to start the run, so to speak. One thing I also stated earlier is that the local bottom here usually is formed by USDT or some sort of FUD with stablecoins. We've seen USDT and USDC stablecoins actually form some local bottoms with some major FUD. Hedge funds targeted Tether right there at one of the local bottoms. Last week, Tether FUD was the highest it's been in 6 months. You can see, again, some local bottom around those weeks. And then all the USDC controversy leading the prices down for Bitcoin as well. And right now, again, we can see that a lot of USDT manipulation was going on. Prices went down ever so slightly to $24,500 or so. And right now, we're back at 26.6 or something like that. And on another side note, Scott Melker is going really heavy against the SEC, and I honestly appreciate this. People continuously tell me I'm taking unnecessary risks by speaking out so aggressively against the SEC. I'm going to show you Brad Garlinghouse in just a second. And other parts of government that I disagree with. Wrong. Whatever voice I have, I will always use to stand up for what I think is right. Use yours too. And there's a long video where he basically just explains what Wall Street has been doing, and hey. Well, he basically just said, Gary Gensler needs to be fired immediately. The Wolf of Wall Street podcast, yada yada, says on the crypto crackdown, later adding, Americans are losing money because of the actions of the SEC every single day. And John Deaton had this to say, inflation may not be transient, but Gary Gensler is. I've heard people like Kevin O'Leary say it's stupid to fight the regulator, which is ironic considering his fellow shark Mark Cuban did fight and defeated the SEC. You certainly don't pick unnecessary fights, but when you have a bad faith regulator like Gensler, which we can mostly agree with, there's only one viable option. Fight with all you got. Which again prompts the question, is Coinbase going to be relisting XRP for the purposes of what we're describing here? So Scott, to you and others, I say, a couple of claps right there because you're doing the right thing. Like I said, the only way in which you can really get this done is to really fight as hard as possible, or rather not accept whatever the SEC has been up to. If we're just all like, okay, like yes men basically, what are we going to get to? Well, we are all going to be getting to a worse point in crypto where all the money is moving to freaking Hong Kong, Asia, whatever. And at the end of the day, US investors are only going to be losing more money while getting less and less access to financial freedom. Because at the end of the day, guys, I see crypto as financial freedom. Even though I honestly believe that most of you guys watching right now, if you've got a sizable chunk, if you got $10 to your name, it's a little bit different. But if you're properly investing, I still, from the bottom of my own heart, believe most people watching will become millionaires in due course. These guys can really mess up your day. I don't think it's going to destroy crypto. They can't because it will survive. But on the short term, especially for you as investors, you might just get yourself less opportunities. And even in Europe, Binance is leaving the Netherlands, for example. They're giving you less and less chances to make all this money, which is the bad part. Right now, by the way, a little side note, while I have the glasses here, I am right now over on a very nice island in Malaysia. Tomorrow, I'm going to show you a little bit of the view on this side. I'll try to set up the camera a little bit different, hopefully then you can see, because oh my days, guys, life can be so beautiful. Anyway, let's watch this Brad Garlinghouse video.
Hi, I'm Brad Garlinghouse. As many of you know, I don't often make videos like this, but then again, not every week has been like this one. A few days ago, after 2 years, 7 court orders, and over $100 million in legal bills, the Hinman speech documents, including internal SEC emails and comments leading up to this now infamous 2018 speech, they've finally been unsealed. Hinman's speech created new factors to determine if a token becomes sufficiently decentralized to no longer be considered a security. At best, these documents show that senior officials at the SEC couldn't agree on the law and told Bill Hinman directly he would confuse the public even more about the rules for crypto. At worst, they show that Hinman deliberately ignored the law, and he tried to create new laws, something only Congress can do. And while he was a public servant, Hinman received millions of dollars of payments from his law firm, which was part of an alliance with others that had a vested interest in this speech. This speech isn't about any one token or any one blockchain. This is about showing the extent to which the SEC has relentlessly pursued enforcement actions against crypto players while professing fake open arms and calls to come in and register, all the while lying about their so-called guidance. As some of you may know, Ripple spent years proactively engaging with the SEC. I personally met with Jay Clayton and Bill Hinman, with no lawyer present. Why would I need a lawyer if we were all coming together in good faith? We answered every question they had, and not once did they suggest to me that XRP was a security. We were fully transparent, not knowing they would then use this information against us. The SEC hit us with a surprise Wells notice saying they were considering suing us for breaking securities laws and still refused to provide specifics. To those that have recently been hit with their own Wells notices and lawsuits, this likely sounds all too familiar. When the lawsuit did drop against us, days before Christmas, a very Grinch-like touch, They made it personal. They sued Chris Larson and they sued myself, alleging we should have known all along that XRP was a security. You can now see plain as day, they couldn't even agree amongst themselves. And to me, it still seems like they can't. What we saw play out in our case is exactly what's still happening. The SEC is looking to kill crypto innovation in the United States, and its current chair, an unelected bureaucrat, I might add, is weaponizing the lack of regulatory clarity to exert jurisdiction over the entire crypto space. This is the definition of putting politics over people. It's the pursuit of power over sound policy. The SEC tried to bully us into acquiescing. Thankfully, we have had the resources to fight back. And now we can all see what they've fought so hard to hide. They knowingly created confusion about the rules, and they used that confusion to regulate through enforcement. That's bad faith, plain and simple. Ultimately, as our lawsuit comes to a close, for so many others, it's just starting. The fight for clarity has to continue. I'm just going to conclude by saying to my colleagues here at Ripple, to my family, my friends, everyone who has supported us over the past 2.5 years, and certainly to the whole of the XRP Army, a very heartfelt and a very genuine thank you for that support.
I don't know what else to tell you. I think the video speaks quite for itself. They got screwed. They got bamboozled. That's the way I'm going to call it. They got absolutely debated. And all I've got to say to that is let's fight this together. That's what I keep saying every single day. Guys, if you enjoyed this crypto video and you think that this is all unfair, make sure you get that like button up there. But that's all besides the point. Make sure you've got the notification bell on, because what if this lawsuit is over tomorrow? What if something crazy happens tomorrow? You want to be notified. And again, guys, this is all BS. It's literally all garbage. It's literally all lies. It's all based upon deceit. It's all either power or something that we can't fully put our fingers on, but we're getting to the freaking bottom of this. The SEC keeps trying to delay it further and further and further, but at some point, they've got nowhere to run. All these dirty little freaking secrets will be coming to light, and I'll be here to report it to you guys every single day, because I personally think we deserve that. And I personally think as well that the moment it's all said and done, oh my days, our crypto price is going to be going insane. But yeah, I'll be here to report on everything that's happening, and that's about it. See ya.